Okay, this is the last video of the 4 video series, and this is one of the most important as well because right now you know all about fixed rates, all about variable rates, pros and cons, etc. And now, when to change? Should you stay in your fixed rate? Should you stay in your variable rate? Or when to change from one or the other? So let's get started. Now, we're gonna do 4 examples so you know exactly when to change. But at the end of the day, we need to do the numbers for your specific case. But I'm gonna walk you through 4 examples so you have the idea on what to look for when you're changing from one to the other one. So we're gonna look from variable to variable, from fixed to fixed. Now we're gonna look another example from variable to fixed, and from fixed to variable, and we'll wrap up with a quick summary. Okay, so let's get started. When to change from a variable to a variable rate. So let me show you an example on what the math looks like. Let's assume that you have a $500,000 mortgage, okay, and that your current variable rate is 2.5%, and you want to know if it's worthwhile switching because you can get a new rate of 1.5% in the current environment. What is good about variable rates, as we discussed in the past, is that the penalty is very low. So let's calculate the penalty together. We look at 500,000, okay? So this 500,000, we multiply by your current interest rate, which is 2.5%. So this is the annual interest in the whole year. And because the variable rate has 3-month interest penalty, we divide by 4. And that gives us a penalty of 3,125. Exactly what I'm just put here. And let's assume that you have legal and appraisal. Legal should be about $750 and appraisal, let's say $250, so another $1,000. So what would be the results? The result would be that you have savings of about $5,000 a year, okay? And the total expenses to leave the existing variable to the new variable at a lower rate are 4,125 all included, okay? So it takes about less than a year to recover this cost. I would take this deal because you're recovering the cost super fast, and from there on, it's all savings to you at a rate of $5,000 a year. Okay, there's sometimes in these type of scenarios where you don't have to pay for legal appraisal, so none of them happens. So it's even faster. If you see here, the total expenses will drop just to your penalty, and the years to recover will both be 0.63. In the past, lenders used to pay for penalties, but because of the structure of how the capital markets work right now, I don't see any lenders paying for any type of penalties. They prefer to let you go, and that would be and you can get anyway. You can get lots of savings with the right situation. So this is an example of switching from a variable to another variable. So let's go to the next one. What happens when you're switching from a fixed and you want to stay into a fixed rate? Does it make sense? When to do it? So let's look at another example. I'm gonna show you another example that I prepared here, where you have the same $500,000 mortgage. Now you have a 3.5% current 5-year fixed rate, okay, or a fixed rate. And let's say you realize that the new rate that you can get is 3%. Okay, so does it make sense to switch this mortgage for 3.5 to 3%? So first of all, let's calculate the penalty. Okay, so I'm gonna bring my calculator here. So if you have a balance of 500,000 on a fixed rate, remember fixed rates will charge the higher of 3 months interest and an IRD, or interest rate differential penalty, which is a little bit of a math to do on a video. What I recommend is always ask your lender to know the exact number, but we're going to assume that the penalty on this mortgage is 2.5%. So we take 500,000 times 2.5%, okay? 12,500. So that would be the penalty for this mortgage. So when we add 12,500 here, it will, and let's assume as well that you don't have any expenses, any other expenses, like no legal or no appraisal. Again, in some mortgages you can do that, in some others you can't. You will have savings in this example of 2,500 per year, and your total expenses is going to be the high penalty on the fixed mortgage of 12,500. So you need 5 years to recover this penalty. I wouldn't do it. I would never do this deal because you're not saving any money. You're taking 5 years only to break even. So it's not worth it. Okay, so this is an example of moving from a fixed rate to another fixed rate. Of course, these are just examples, and we will have to do the exact numbers for your particular situation. Let's go to the next example. When to switch from a variable to a fixed rate. Remember, I have said in the past that I do not recommend people going into a variable rate with the plan of when interest rates start to increase on the variable, they switch to a fixed. Okay, I don't recommend that because when it's just through experience, it's just my experience by doing mortgages for 20 years or 22 years. Most people don't save money. They just are scared. They go into a fix and they end up paying more money. But anyways, we're going to do an example here because at the end of the day, what really tells you the clear picture are numbers. Okay, so I'm prepared here some numbers on having a $500,000 mortgage. Okay, let's say the amortization is 25 years, and let's say you have a 2.5% fixed rate, and you're trying to decide if you have an 1.85 variable. Let's say you feel that the rates are going to start to increase, if you should change this 1.85 to a 2.5% interest rate. Okay, so let's look at the numbers. I did some numbers here just to save a little bit of time, but I assume that the interest rate, the prime rate, will increase 1, 2, 3, 4 times in the first year. Again, 4 times in the first year, and then the prime rate will keep increasing by a quarter of a point, year 2, again year 3, again year 4, and year 5. So we have another 4 increases 1 time per year for the next 5 years. If that happens, okay, and you have a decision to make between a 2.5 interest rate on a fixed rate and a 1.85 on a variable, the winner is the fixed rate. It would be better off for you to take the fixed rate from the beginning, okay, versus waiting for all these rates increase to happen. So just this is just an example, and every particular situation is very different. So I would encourage you to call our office to run the numbers with a specific scenario that you want to run for us, and we'll see what the numbers show. So this would be a nice example on when to change from a variable to a fixed, where the fixed was a better choice. Remember, again, I will keep saying over and over again, if you go from a variable to a fixed, later you cannot change from a fixed to a variable, most likely because the penalty is going to be so high that any savings will be wasted in the penalty. Okay, so remember that one of the risks of going from variable to fixed is that you have to stay in the fixed. If rates go down quite a bit unexpectedly, you may not be able to realize much savings because the penalties may be too high. But it's always worth to do the numbers. Because when you do the numbers, it makes sense what to do. And last one, when to change from a fixed rate to a variable. So I just said that there would be a high penalty. So let's see when would be a good opportunity to change from a fixed to a variable rate. So I prepared here another example where you have a $500,000 mortgage, and let's say you have you were on a fixed rate 4 years in and you have 1 year to go. Okay, you have 1 year to go on your 5-year fixed term at 3.5%. And now you have the opportunity to change that to a variable rate at 2%. Okay, so again, from 3.5 to 2%. And I'm gonna make another assumption to make it simple. Okay, that because you have only 1 year left on your term, during that year the prime rate doesn't change much. Okay, so it doesn't change basically. So what would happen in that case? You go to the bank. We help you. We guide you how to ask that question. Sometimes they don't give you the right answer, but you go to the bank and ask them for a prepayment penalty. And let's say that the bank gave you a prepayment penalty of $4,000. Okay, so let's look what would happen. And let's assume as well that we don't have any other expenses that we can transfer from one institution to the next without any legal or appraisals. Again, this is case by case. A lot of times you can do it, but sometimes you can't, and expenses will need to happen. So in this case, very good. You will have savings of $7,500 per year, okay? And that's the savings. The expenses will be the penalty, which is $4,000, no other expense. So you have half a year to recover. Yeah, if you don't expect the interest rate to go up and it's into a situation where the prime rate is stable or maybe has the opportunity to go down, I will take this deal in a heartbeat, because within half a year you recover your penalty and everything else is savings. Now, what happens if you do have to pay for the legal and the appraisal? Again, it increased to $5,000. The expenses, the savings stay at $7,500. You have a little bit more than a year to recover. Still a good deal. I would do it. Okay, so this is another example on when to change from a fixed rate to a variable. Okay, we're getting to the end, so let's talk about a little bit about the summary. When to change? I always say have a professional do the numbers. Okay, have a professional mortgage broker that knows what they're doing, do the numbers for you, so you have this in black and white. Now, in my opinion, do not get the numbers done by the bank, as they have a vested interest in something, which is their own business, which is making money from interest. Okay, so I've seen numbers done by the bank, and I explain to clients they don't make sense. So get the numbers done by an independent third party, not your own bank. Okay, and there's always other considerations. The example that I show here are crystal clear, where there is no other considerations. But sometimes you have high interest debt, like perhaps high credit card debt, whatever, that you can consolidate. And if you're paying 18%, it sweetens the deal, because now you don't have to pay that 18% anymore. Sometimes the interest rate may not that high, but the payments are super high, especially when you have cars or leases. You may have a super high payment that is causing you trouble financially. By consolidating even at the same rate into a mortgage, you can drop the payments and have some money left over for savings and other things that you want to use your money for. And in my opinion as well, the best thing to do is have a discussion of your objective with a professional mortgage broker that you know and trust. And of course, I would love if you guys contact our office so we can help you out, do any type of numbers, give you any type of advice for you to be better financially. You can call us, you can text us, you can book an appointment with us, or you can email us at Mortgages Lab. It's been a pleasure and an honor to show you this information, all about fixed, all about variable, when to change, what to do. I hope you had value about this. And please, if you did find value and you may not even need right now any change or whatever, send me an email and let me know what you think about this series of videos. And perhaps if you want me to do something different or something else where I explained another concept related to mortgages, I would love to have it, to do it for you guys. Send me an email, Let me know what you think. Let me know how to improve these videos. And if you have another question or comment, I would love to know from you. All the best, Camilo Rodriguez with Mortgages Lab. Take care.